and welcome to Unacademy again. This is Astha Raut, your educator, and this is the second lesson that we are going to do on Coleridge. I'll be telling you, we have already studied about Coleridge as a romantic poet, but here we'll be studying about Coleridge as a nature poet. So few of his uses of nature in his works. So I hope you like it. Do not forget to follow.
One of the main characteristics of a romantic movement was the awakening of a sense of mystery in nature. The poets of Romantic school not only loved nature for her external beauty and grandeur, but deeper truths underlying her physical manifestations. They described their emotional reactions to nature rather than her external aspects. Hence, it was that each romantic poet had his own conception of nature. So did Coleridge. So we'll talk about the minute observations of nature that Coleridge did. Though the nature poetry of Coleridge has an individual note, he was undoubtedly influenced by Wordsworth. It was after his acquaintance with Wordsworth that his descriptions of his natural scenes showed an intensity of affection and accuracy of perception, which had been absent in his earlier works. But his nature poetry has a subtlety and delicacy rarely found in Wordsworth, and he reaps a richer harvest through the sense than Wordsworth. His senses invest his impressions of nature with an extraordinary freshness and splendor, and at that time with a shrewd and minute precision which reveals the analytic mind. Wordsworth's idealization to a commonplace no doubt impressed Coleridge. Wordsworth had shown the wonder of ordinary sights and sounds. It remained for Coleridge to exhibit their mystery. In Kubla Khan, we have seen the deep romantic scenes being described vividly. Well, next we have the sense of colors. Coleridge had the eye of an artist, and his sensuous perception was hardly less keen than that of Keats. But his poetry, showing evidence of his keenness of perception, is not sensuous, for nature it is always seen by him through the human atmosphere. The shaping spirit of imagination works upon the outward form, and everything is seen in a fair luminous mist. It is then that we have the highest poetry of Coleridge. But when the shaping power of imagination declines, he cries in despair. Coleridge is possessed by the faculty of minute and subtle observation, and painted the outward forms of nature with a degree of delicacy to which neither Wordsworth himself nor perhaps any other worshipper of nature ever quite attained. It is in a highly sensitive apprehension of the external aspects of nature, says Pater, that Coleridge identifies himself most closely with one of the Lake school, a tendency instinctive and no more matter of theory in him as a Wordsworth. Coleridge had a sense of color comparable to that of Keats in poetry and of Turner in painting. But with his extraordinary sense of color, the form he never lavishes it at every turn, he merely suggests with a rare sense of poetic fitness. In his famous work, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, we have witnessed many such shades of colors, starting from the images of light and the luminous color in the sky and sea, where ice is as green as emerald, and of course the red lips, which describes life and death. Well, Coleridge has also invested nature with mystery. Coleridge envelops nature with a sense of awe and mystery to suit the supernatural elements in his poems. In Kubla Khan, we have naturally beautiful place invested with mysterious and awe-inspiring aspect. In Christabel, we have the natural events, scenes, and sounds of night being used to create a sense of mystery and a haunting atmosphere. The ancient mariner too abounds in the phenomena of nature being invested with a supernatural aura. The very center of Coleridge's art lies in his faculty of evoking the mystery of things and having it actual, widespread, and obsessing. Nothing, in short, that he found in the outer world attained its rightful value from him until, by sublimation strange, it had passed into the realm of shadows which Schiller conceived to be the true region both of poetry and of action. While Coleridge also displays a harmonious relationship between the nature and human beings. Nature to Coleridge is the background to highlight the moods of his characters. If the mariner describes the sun as peeping through the ribs of the phantom ship, it is because the mariner himself is experiencing a kind of imprisonment. It is because of the guilt of killing the albatross. Similarly, in Christabel, the single red leaf hanging on the oak tree exemplifies Christabel's isolation and her precarious situation. The description of nature in Dejection and Ode also draws a colorful or a coloring from the poet's own moods. So he tries to explain here that the mood of the nature will appear to us or reflect on us the similar way or in the same way our mood is. If we are happy, the nature for us will be happy. If we are sad, the nature for us will also appear to be sad. Well, after the human and nature's relationship, he has also put a stress on pantheism. Coleridge was not a nature poet as Wordsworth was, but with Wordsworth he had a part in bringing to the English poetry a genuine love of nature and spiritual insight into her possession. He loved nature for her own sake, and his love took at most the form of reverent worship, for he saw behind all the phenomena of nature the veiled presence of God. Coleridge's deep delight in the common aspects of nature find a beautiful expression in the poem This Lime Tree Bower My Prison. Once Lamb and other friends of Coleridge went out for a walk in the countryside, but Coleridge could not accompany them, owing to the unfortunate accident. Sitting alone without any company, he imagined the delights which his friends would enjoy, but he couldn't share. The poem describing the details of the sense through which his friends would pass is a charming specimen of natural description combined with human interest. The truth of description is the beauty of nature and the influence that passes from nature to the soul of the poet, which is very much like that which Wordsworth describes in his poetries. Coleridge's fundamental conception of nature is that every object of nature, from a simple flower to a mighty mountain, is pervaded by the presence of God. His attitudes towards nature passed through two phases. In his younger days, he conceived that there were two multitudes of spirits by whose operation nature grew, and who informed all the organic and inorganic forms of nature. They were all in the service of God, and it was God, the all-conscious spirit, who informed all forms of nature. The whole universe thus resided in God. Nature was alive in God, and each of her forms, informed by a distinctive spirit, had a distinct life of its own. This idea forms the basis of the rhyme of Ancient Mariner, where the guilty man is first punished by avenging spirits and then redeemed by the seraph band. Well, the poet passes through the second phase of his conception of nature when he conceives that it is one of our own thoughts that makes nature appear as it is to us. This view was partly the result of his study from the philosophy of Germany. The existence of the external world is not actual but phenomenal. It is in our thought that we give form to external objects, and thinking of these we build up the world of nature ourselves. Nature thus lives in us, and when we receive impressions from nature, we do not receive something distinct from us but our own thoughts as reflected from the external world. So, according to Coleridge, when one feels in one's soul the one intellectual breeze which makes the harmony of the universe one, is spiritually conscious of the divine presence. Whomsoever knows this as truth rejoices in it, and from him goes forth over the whole appearance which the world takes to him, a light, a glory, a fair luminous cloud that makes glorious all things. A sweet and potent voice, the echo of God in his own soul, turns the universe into music. Well, at the end, Coleridge shows a delicate touch in the painting of nature, especially the flitting charm of the nature. He can produce broad and general effects of nature as skillfully as subtle and precise delineations. He was capable of investing a sense of mystery on the common and ordinary aspects of nature. While in the earlier poems Coleridge describes nature as separate from human beings under the influence of Wordsworth, he developed a pantheistic attitude. Later his attitude towards nature underwent further change. He came under the influence of German thinkers to believe that nature takes on its form from our own thoughts. So these were the two concepts of Coleridge around which all his works and all his poems revolved. So I hope you got the main characteristics of Coleridge as a nature poet in this. If you have any doubts, go ahead and comment and keep following me on Unacademy. Thank you.